A massive dragon bursts through the wall, towering over a group of adventurers. The narration declares that even platinum-ranked adventurers are mere whispers in the wind, powerless before the might of dragons. Despite their efforts, the adventurers are reminded they are fleeting mortals against such overwhelming power. One warrior grits his teeth in frustration. Suddenly, a new figure appears. A man in a suit and glasses, battered but composed. He apologizes for the intrusion, unaware the group already has company. The dragon watches silently as tension rises. The young adventurer demands to know who this man is, while others question his strange appearance and demeanor. The dragon roars defiantly, lamenting that humans never learn and vowing to reduce them all to ashes. The suited man grips his weapon tightly, readying himself as the dragon advances. The adventurers brace for the impending clash, their expressions a mix of shock and determination. The dragon lunges fiercely, jaws snapping as it attacks the group. The adventurers react with alarm, struggling to defend themselves. The suited man stands firm, gripping his weapon with resolve. The dragon's assault is fierce, but the man's presence hints at an unexpected turn. The dragon reels back, stunned, as the man mutters impossible, while the others wonder what just happened. The suited man swings his weapon with fierce determination, striking the dragon amid flames and debris. The dragon growls in pain, caught off guard by the sudden counterattack. The adventurers watch in stunned silence as the man stands calmly before the smoldering remains. One of them, still catching their breath, remarks on the satisfying sound of the strike. The scene shifts to a modern office in Tokyo, where a man named Keita Sato types at his computer. He introduces himself as a 41-year-old single office worker in the Adventure Books publishing sales department. His colleague angrily informs him that the event they planned was canceled last minute, causing a major setback. Keita reflects on joining the company during the fantasy novel and manga boom, hoping for success. He questions if the popular dungeon liver streamers caused the disruption. Noting their fame from streaming dungeon adventures, despite their popularity, he personally doesn't understand the hype surrounding them. The year is 2025, dubbed the era of grand adventure. As dungeon exploration reaches its peak, people gather around a large screen streaming a fierce female adventurer named Swearin. 18 years ago, the dungeon catastrophe began when dungeons suddenly appeared worldwide, forcing humanity to fight monstrous threats. From each defeated monster, powerful items emerged, transforming ordinary people into adventurers. Heroes in their own right, the younger generation idolizes these adventurers, known as dungeon natives, who stream their dungeon raids on social media like the latest craze. But reality has overtaken fantasy, and demand for fantasy magazines has plummeted. The publishing company now survives by selling books and merchandise for popular dungeon streamers. Keita Sato, feeling out of touch with youth culture, reflects on growing old as his shift ends. Madoka Ukai, a second-year employee managing dungeon streamers, insists on taking responsibility for the dungeon liver scandal and apologizing to affected stores. Despite her seniors' protests, she insists it's her job, though she worries about burnout in this demanding role. Keita Sato agrees to help with the dungeon streamer apology, saying if they do it together, it won't be so bad. Madoka Ukai is surprised and grateful, but he insists Ukai is more valuable to the company. He smiles warmly, saying a little bowing is a cheap price to pay, prompting Ukai to shyly call him senpai. Later, Keita walks home after another late night at the office. Reflecting that things used to be better, including the pay, he notices something unusual and looks up. Alert. On a large screen, the official ZBK streamer Swearin appears, energetically promoting Doom Productions' recruitment for new dungeon streamers. The ad encourages viewers to leave their mark on the world with support from Doom Production. Keita watches, clearly captivated. Keita stops outside a Yoshidaya beef bowl shop, contemplating the price. Suddenly, a fire breaks out nearby, causing chaos. People panic as flames spread, and a young man nearby remarks on the illegality of magic in the city. Keita, determined, thinks to himself that he won't end up as a lame salaryman, hinting at a resolve to change his fate. A group of young people mock an older man standing outside a beef bowl shop, calling him out for being lost there. Keita clenches his fingers, thinking it's probably better to be an adventurer than a corporate drone these days. As the train arrives, he tells himself to ignore the jeers, reminding himself that others have their lives, and he has his own. He arrives home late, apologizing for the hour. Inside, a cheerful teenage girl named Hikari Amahara greets him warmly. Lying on the couch playing a game, she offers to heat up the cheese curry she made, and he gratefully accepts, admitting he's starving after overtime. She is introduced as his niece, the daughter of his older sister. The narration explains that after his parents passed away, his sister returned to live with him following a separation from her husband. originally living alone in the family house. He finds living with his teenage niece awkward. He internally comments on her shirt being cut too low on the sides but feels too awkward to say anything. Meanwhile, she hums happily while cooking. They sit together eating, with Hikari enthusiastically enjoying her meal. Keita admits food is the only joy left in his boring life, prompting her to call him depressing. She compliments his cooking skills, and he responds modestly, though clearly touched by her praise. Hikari cheerfully presents star-shaped carrots, declaring they are made with love for her dear uncle. Keita reacts dryly, noting the carrot's cuteness but showing no real emotion. She teases him for being so dry and asks if he knows Dungeon Liver, a popular dungeon streaming group that just went live. He explains he was working late cleaning up their mess. Keita watches a live stream where the group refuses to apologize for a recent scandal, insisting they only said what they wanted. Comments flood in support of the group, but Keita struggles to understand why everyone is so angry since no one was hurt. His frustration grows as he questions the public's reaction. Hikari mocks the smugness of the streamers while Keita, visibly tense and brooding, counts silently to 3. He suddenly stands, thanking her for the meal and announcing he's going out for a bit. She asks where he's going so late, but he doesn't answer immediately. Keita puts on his jacket, telling Hikari he just feels like moving around. He advises her to go to bed since it's late. She watches him leave quietly, a faint smile playing on her lips as he steps out the door, wishing her to be safe. The bustling Shinjuku East exit fills with people as a man in a suit walks through the crowd silently. A young woman in a cap films him with her phone, her expression serious as she mutters to herself, concluding quietly that her uncle is weird. She recalls doing his laundry once and discovering a rare item hidden in his shirt pocket. He often leaves at odd hours, returning covered in blood, which shocks her. After getting the item appraised, she learns it's from an SSS-level dungeon. Though he acts uninterested in dungeon streaming, she suspects he's hiding something and vows to catch him red-handed tonight. A crowd protests outside a building, chanting to take back Shinjuku and free the dungeon, reminding everyone of the 37,000 lives lost. The future, they say, lies in the hands of adventurers. The young woman, now outside a batting center, looks on in surprise, questioning the location. A sign nearby notes it's been 18 years since the dungeon catastrophe. Inside, the woman swiftly enters, requesting 1 hour of time and revealing her registered adventurer name. Nindo Hikari. She moves with purpose, her main skill listed as Stealth SSS, catching the attention of a man at the counter who looks on in curiosity. The woman catches her breath as she enters a typical batting center, the signs above the lanes showing pitches at 80 and 90 kilometers per hour. She notices a man entering behind her, but nothing seems out of place. Suddenly, the door slams shut with force, startling her. She grips her phone tightly, stunned as the man vanishes without a trace. Realizing this might be a dungeon entrance, she stares at a sign showing a staggering level 140 dungeon. Her shock deepens as she questions if this is real. The scene shifts to a grand, ominous building where the man walks alone. Breathing heavily, the woman worries about his safety, knowing even a gold-ranked adventurer wouldn't survive more than 10 minutes here. She trusts her stealth skill but senses the place is far too dangerous. Suddenly, a diamond frog emerges from the shadows, its rock-hard skin making it nearly invincible. The woman shudders, recognizing it as a monster that blends into walls and ceilings. A walking weapon immune to all attacks, she finds it deeply unsettling. The woman senses danger and shouts a warning as a massive impact shatters the ground nearby. She panics, realizing the man in the suit is just an ordinary guy who will be killed instantly. The man turns sharply, eyes wide, as a diamond frog lunges at him. He swiftly pulls out a large bat, ready to defend himself. The man swings the bat with surprising force, smashing the frog against the wall with a satisfying crack. The woman watches in shock. Unable to believe his strength, he smiles, amused by the sound of his strike, while she questions what just happened. The man admits it was a bit of a struggle but reveals he took down the diamond frog with a single hit. The woman is stunned, knowing even a top-tier dungeon streamer couldn't defeat one so easily. She explains these diamond frogs always hunt in packs, so the fight is far from over. The man prepares for the next attack, swinging the bat fiercely at another approaching frog. He shouts that the strike is for his terrible boss and the obnoxious kids, showing his determination to fight through the danger. The woman watches anxiously, surprised by his boldness and strength. The man swings his bat fiercely, shouting that this is for the selfish dungeon streamers causing trouble. The diamond frog crashes violently against the wall. He stands calm but battered, gripping his bat tightly. A young woman watches in shock, questioning what is happening. She thinks maybe he's been secretly letting off steam all along. She realizes if this were streamed, It would be incredible. Her stunned expression grows as she declares he's way too powerful. Comments flood in as viewers watch the stream. They note the man is fighting diamond frogs in the lower dungeon floors. The same monsters swear-faced. They question why he's in a suit without a team or gear. Some demand he reveal his face, while others hope to see Swearin get slimed. The man stands alone amid the ruins, ready for battle. The man faces a massive diamond boa, a terrifying SSS boss monster. The woman yells a warning, calling him insane for attacking with just a bat. The man braces himself as the huge snake looms, while she shouts his name in alarm. The massive diamond boa, an SSS-ranked boss monster, coils menacingly in the ruined dungeon. Its armored scales glinting as it faces the lone man in a suit standing before it. The man strikes the boa's head with his bat, the impact ringing out with a sharp clang. The snake retaliates, smashing the dungeon walls and causing debris to rain down around them. A young woman watching the stream panics, shouting that the man is dead and demanding the camera focus. The man remains calm, turning away from the chaos as the screen behind him flickers. She calls out, alarmed, asking what is happening to her uncle. The man grips his bat tightly, eyes sharp and determined as he prepares to strike again. With a fierce battle cry, he challenges the monster, ready to face whatever comes next, while the woman questions if this fight is giving him satisfaction. The woman winces in pain as debris flies past her, clutching her phone tightly. The man in the suit braces himself, swinging his bat to defend against the oncoming destruction. From a distance, a voice orders Sato to take over cleanup duty today. Inside a classroom, a boy named Shun is urged to hurry up by a peer. Another student reminds him he promised to do the task today. Despite the complaints, Shun smiles quietly, resigned to always being stuck with the dirty work. Outside, the chaos continues as the massive snake's presence looms. Nearby, others comment on how poor Sato always ends up with the same burdens, but he seems to accept it willingly. The battle rages on as the man swings his bat at the giant diamond boa, ignoring the criticism from dungeon streamers who mock him as an old man who doesn't understand streaming. He refuses to accept a mundane office worker fate, questioning why they're hated despite not hurting anyone. The man's determination clashes with the monster's destructive force, as he fights against the overwhelming odds. The snake's head is suddenly severed by a powerful strike, its roar cut off mid-attack. The man's bat swings with immense force, sending the beast flying. The woman watching gasps in shock, stunned by the sudden turn of events as the monster disappears with a clicking sound. Her wide eyes reflect disbelief and awe at the outcome. The man swings his metal bat with fierce determination, shouting that he refuses to accept defeat. His battered suit and glasses show the toll of battle, but his resolve is unshaken as he strikes the giant snake's head with immense force. The massive snake recoils, its roar drowned out by the shock and disbelief of onlookers. Streamers and viewers flood the chat with incredulous comments, doubting the reality of a man beating a boss monster with just a metal bat. A female streamer reacts with wide eyes, announcing the huge buzz this moment is creating. The man catches his breath, a faint smile breaking through his exhaustion. He loosens his tie, feeling a quiet pride as a voice off-panel praises him as amazing. The tension eases slightly, the battle momentarily paused. The scene shifts to the female streamer, who excitedly notes the subscriber count surpassing 10,000. She senses something significant approaching, shouting about the smell of money as the atmosphere crackles with anticipation. Keita Sato checks his watch anxiously as he stands near a train station entrance, clutching his briefcase tightly. The quiet tension in his expression hints at an impending event beyond his control. Suddenly, the ground trembles, manhole covers rattle, and pedestrians freeze in alarm, questioning if it's an earthquake. Massive, ominous spikes erupt from the cityscape, signaling the sudden appearance of labyrinths worldwide, marking the start of the dungeon catastrophe. The chaos escalates as people flee the streets, dodging debris and monstrous growths piercing the skyline. The narration reveals this disaster struck 18 years ago, shaking Japan to its core. News broadcasts and online chatter explode with panic, calling the situation insane and apocalyptic. The internet and media frenzy reflect the global turmoil as the world undergoes a profound transformation, forever changed by the catastrophe. Back then, 23-year-old Keita Sato worked quietly at his desk as Japanese corporate drones kept working as usual. On the first day of the catastrophe, trains halted and employees were even allowed to leave early, which felt surreal. Keita joyfully reacts to the news of trains on standby, but by the next day, trains resumed and everyone slipped back into routines as if nothing happened. He internally scoffs at Japan's quick recovery. Keita reflects on his lack of motivation during that time, realizing adulthood requires time and energy to enjoy hobbies. His only remaining hobby is shown as he walks at night toward a train station, determined to earn a certification. Despite exhaustion, Keita refuses to give up his only way to relax. Visiting the batting cages, he acknowledges others might find it silly but remains resolute. He prepares to swing, eyes focused on the ball, with a sign boasting the challenge course's speed record of 160 kilometers per hour. As Keita swings, he envisions the ball clearly and connects with it powerfully. Nearby, a shocked man watches as the impact causes a violent explosion, shattering the surroundings with debris flying everywhere, accompanied by a loud roar of destruction. A violent impact crashes through a wall as a figure in a dark hoodie lunges forward, smashing a metal pipe against a man in a white shirt. The man screams in shock and pain, falling to the ground amid debris. A shiny, spherical object rolls across the floor, then oozes a strange, viscous substance. The man watches in horror as the gooey sphere approaches a woman lying unconscious, her body bleeding. He pants heavily, overwhelmed by the scene. The grotesque creature atop the woman lets out a chilling scream. Nearby, a group of people flee in terror, shouting that they're going to be killed. The man in glasses grips a bat, frustrated by the panic around him, lamenting how loud everyone is about the danger just as he was getting focused. The man closes his eyes, steadying his breath, commanding himself to focus. He swings the bat with precision, shattering the wall behind the creature as shards fly. The spherical object hurtles through the air, propelled by his strike. The man swings again, striking the creature named Metal Slug, a bizarre, bulbous monster with multiple limbs and a mechanical appearance. The bat connects with a solid thud, and the narration highlights the creature's distinct traits as the battle intensifies. The ball crashes into the target with a powerful impact. A man standing in a batting cage clenches his fist in triumph, exclaiming loudly in excitement. He explains that defeating the creature grants a huge amount of experience points. Suddenly, the man shouts in surprise, holding up a certificate he earned for a home run. He calls out to Nobunaga, but then his expression shifts to shock as he surveys a scene of carnage. Several bodies lie sprawled on the floor, blood splattered everywhere. He demands to know what is happening. The scene shifts to a quiet suburban house at dawn, the alarm clock ringing at 6 a.m. The man, now calmer but sweaty, rubs his face and reflects that it was a complete fluke. He hit the ball and it turned out to be a monster. Despite how ridiculous it sounds, he insists it's true. A framed certificate on the wall bears his name and achievement. He shaves carefully, musing that just because he got lucky once doesn't mean his life changed. Going to labyrinths became merely a hobby, and he remained a cautious, ordinary office worker as he finishes dressing. He opens the door to a woman sitting at the table. She tells him she made coffee for him, and he thanks her quietly. Akari Amahara, 2 years older and the mother of Hikari, sits with arms crossed, noting how formal Keita is, making a wall between them. She apologizes for coming home unexpectedly. Keita, nervous, tries to keep his composure, saying he can't just talk like a kid with Hikari around. She teases him for acting grown up, then asks where he was last night, catching him off guard. Akari recalls returning home to an empty house, feeling lonely. She scolds Keita to stay home and welcome her back properly. He is silent, confused when she mentions Hikari was live-streaming from a dungeon at that hour. Keita wonders what happened to Hikari, recalling he told her to go to bed. They sit quietly as Akari asks if he should stop Hikari. Worried about the danger, Keita agrees teenagers are complicated but admits streaming is the only real money source now. He checks Hikari's channel, noting her 503 subscribers and 5 videos, downplaying the number. Akari insists she doesn't want to be the mom who just stops her daughter chasing dreams. Keita calls her sis softly. She offers to make a simple breakfast, while he decides to grab something from the convenience store. She asks him not to make her the bad guy for stopping Hikari. Keita announces he's leaving now with a faint smile. As he walks through a busy station, 2 men discuss the Shinjuku bat, an adventurer who only uses a metal bat and streams his exploits. Keita clenches his jaw, frustrated, thinking about cleaning up after the dungeon liver incident. On a crowded train, Keita overhears conversations about dungeon live streamers and the wild stunts they pull, like jumping straight into lower dungeon levels. He reflects that even here, all anyone talks about are streamers. A young woman nearby reminds him it's his job, so maybe he should investigate this Shinjuku bat. Keita wonders what the Shinjuku bat is really like, feeling the weight of his office worker life as others pity him silently. A woman greets with a tired, shaky good morning. Feeling like another morning as a slave, she nervously admits to pulling another all-nighter. A man, stressed and sweating, laments the sponsor's anger despite his apology email, calling the situation awful. She confirms the disaster involves the dungeon liver apology video and another crisis. The man offers a rice ball and urges her to take a break, noting how drenched she is. She munches on the rice ball, commenting on the building's AC turning off at night. They sit together in the office, discussing the lack of response from big streamers like Doom. She asks if anyone with good numbers might accept their budget. The man explains his niece recently started streaming. Revealing she has 500 subscribers, the woman reacts with disbelief, asking if the niece is famous. She wishes the elusive Shinjuku bat would reply to them. They discuss how the Shinjuku bat blew up last night, a rookie streamer hitting over 10,000 subscribers on their first stream. The man shows the Shinjuku bat channel with 11,000 subscribers and a solo dive straight to the deep dungeon floors. He explains the streamer defeated the Diamond Boa, a legendary monster with SSS class rank and 90% damage reduction. Despite needing a large party to beat it, the streamer managed to break through by hitting the fragile core inside the monster's tough scales. The woman recalls fighting that monster last night, questioning its strength. The man is stunned, unable to believe the Shinjuku bat really defeated the Diamond Boa just last night. The woman insists she didn't stream it or anything, claiming dungeon diving is only a hobby to blow off steam. They reflect on how Dungeon Liver always pushed boundaries to stir drama and grow subscribers, despite doubts. They acknowledge the Shinjuku bat was one of the few trustworthy streamers for such jobs. A sharp woman angrily orders Ukai and Sato to drop those streamers immediately and find a new dungeon streamer now. They accept the harsh reality, knowing they'll be stuck working late until they do. Sato wonders if there might be 1 or 2 candidates left. The office quiets as they prepare for overtime. 2 schoolgirls sit on steps outside, one excitedly praising her uncle while the other questions if this is some kind of sugar daddy arrangement. They obsess over the Shinjuku bat channel, noting the streamer is still climbing the ranks. The girls worry the streamer will get caught and punished for streaming without permission, since he hates standing out. The girls discuss the streamer's uncle, who can't handle young people's antics without cringing. They recall the dungeon disaster from 18 years ago, when the batting center he frequented was wrecked, killing many and leaving the gate permanently open. They wonder if such tragedies are normal, the mood turning somber as they reflect on the past. The girls discuss the many dungeon gates scattered around Shinjuku, explaining that while the Adventurers Guild manages some, most adventurers simply use them as is. They agree these gates are very convenient. One girl warns that the gate the other's uncle uses is a direct deep floor type, extremely dangerous. She adds that even top-tier parties would be destroyed if they rushed in recklessly. Sitting on steps outside, the girls continue their conversation. One wonders what to do since her uncle is too much to handle. The other reminds her that her uncle once helped them out during tough times. Acting like a hero, she questions if she's okay with exposing him without permission. The first girl hesitates, admitting it would be a waste to throw away all the views. They both acknowledge the dilemma but accept it. The girls sit on the stairs as one promises to tell the uncle about the situation, thanking the other for her help. The other girl jokingly demands a cut of the profits, causing a surprised reaction. They walk through a school hallway while discussing the technical filters set up to protect the uncle's identity. Even if something is recorded accidentally, the server will scrub his face and voice, keeping him unrecognizable. The girls praise the tech-savvy one for her skills, though she finds their praise annoying. The phone vibrates with an incoming call labeled Uncle. The girl excitedly answers, greeting him warmly as Hikari. The other girl apologizes for the sudden call and explains she'll likely be working late again tonight. The uncle, shown in an office, considers going out for drinks or dinner. The girls react with surprise and concern, realizing the late work will keep her busy once more. A girl asks her uncle if he uses GPS on his phone, explaining that if he turns it on when he's late, she could know when he's coming back and wouldn't miss him as much. The uncle, sitting alone by a vending machine, says he doesn't use it. She looks hopeful and a bit nervous. Then the girl with glasses quietly agrees, saying she'll turn it on if it makes her happy. The girl cheerfully declares the mission accomplished and teases that the uncle is evil for making her track him. The uncle nervously wonders if he should go to settings to enable it. She smiles confidently, excited that she'll always know where he is next. A phone screen shows an emergency broadcast about a surprise stream announcement. The girl eagerly asks what the uncle will show this time. Meanwhile, at the Shinjuku dungeon deep floor gate, 3 rugged men sit amid rubble discussing their lost jobs and the trouble caused by a newcomer. One complains about the internet nerd saying pulling too many mobs causes them to go berserk, while another insists rounding up weak mobs to level up is efficient. They argue about their past apologies and the current situation. A man named Potato walks through the ruins, asking if Slane will stream today. The others agree, noting she's cute, but they want more than a regular collaboration. They plan something big and wild to overshadow their scandal and gain buzz by crashing her stream and causing a stir. A live stream shows a fierce battle where a top streamer faces serious trouble, fighting monstrous creatures in a dungeon. The streamer's confident voice imagines the chaos unfolding live, calling it the worst plan to bury a scandal. A young man holding a phone smirks, calling the scheme a genius move. The screen reveals the streamer's name as Dungeon Liver, boasting 420,000 subscribers. Late at night somewhere in Tokyo, Keita Sato counts silently to 3, his expression tense. A woman asks if something is wrong. Noticing his mood, he admits he's just realizing how angry the situation makes him and insists that if you want to use people, you should pay them, that's only fair. Walking through the city streets, they discuss how the company policy only hires cost-effective talent, which means unpaid overtime piles up, frustrating everyone. Keita grows visibly angry, saying it might be tolerable if overtime was paid. But not when it's free. The woman apologizes, feeling responsible. But he reassures her she need not apologize. She thinks to herself that she owes him thanks, while a couple nearby happily leaves a ramen shop. The woman cheerfully offers to buy Keita ramen as an apology for the day's troubles. But he refuses, saying he can't let his junior pay for him. She argues that since they're both single, it shouldn't be an issue, though he warns her to be careful with that mindset. He reminds her that eating out alone with a woman violates compliance rules, causing her to blush in surprise at his compliment about her charm. As they part ways, Keita wishes her good night, relieved to have escaped without trouble. The woman, still flustered, tries to call him back. The scene shifts to a coin and a sign for a love hotel, where a conversation confirms the usual arrangement. 1 hour for 5,000 yen. A man reading a newspaper tells someone to enjoy. A figure in a dark uniform walks down a hallway, passing a door. A shadowy silhouette of a woman appears. Then a cheerful young woman in futuristic armor introduces herself as adventurer Hikari with the ultimate stealth skill SSS, teasingly calling the man uncle, and saying they need good content tonight. Hikari summons a small fox-like Shikigami drone, explaining that her stealth skill transfers to it, allowing even a weakling like her to explore dungeons unnoticed. She instructs the drone to capture footage without alerting the old man nearby. The drone flies ahead as Hikari hides behind rubble, silently watching. She notes her skill is the ultimate stealth ability, and the drone should capture everything unnoticed. The man nearby senses something, feeling watched, and looks around suspiciously. Hikari also senses something odd, her expression tense. The man and Hikari both react sharply to a sudden sensation. Hikari pokes a wall with a long rod, surprised to find it soft. The man wonders if it's a monster, but then realizes it doesn't feel like one. They both stare at a slime-like creature emerging from the wall, causing the man to tense up and Hikari to exclaim in shock. A woman in armor desperately blocks a long pole pressing against her chest, pleading for it to stop and not go any further. She muffles a sound, clearly distressed. Suddenly, the floor beneath a man in a suit cracks violently, causing him to freeze in shock as debris falls into a dark pit. The scene shifts to a high-level dungeon border area in Shinjuku, where an adventurer named Swearin realizes they've fallen into a trap. She screams in frustration and panic, questioning why this is happening as she struggles amidst scattered crates. Surrounded by a swarm of diamond frogs, Swearin and her companions face an overwhelming threat. One warns her that the frogs are swarming in, while another laments the sheer number of enemies. Fearing death, Swearin vows to survive despite the odds, determined not to die here. Swearin forcefully kicks through a wooden barrier, breaking it apart. She notes this is still the mid-layer of the dungeon and wonders why deep-zone frogs are present, concluding it's because they are in the border area. She reads viewer comments aloud, frustrated that respawns don't help, and insists adventurers can't die for good, even as the frogs close in. A girl trapped in a slimy creature's grasp screams for help, her bones breaking as she struggles desperately. Another shouts at her to stop making snarky comments and to use her strength, warning that at this rate, they're doomed. A determined warrior readies her sword, preparing to fight back. The warrior chants a spell, summoning water magic and unleashing a powerful attack called Megaton Pump that crashes down with explosive force, shattering the ground and scattering debris. Nearby, the trapped girl and her companions watch the destruction with concern. The water magic attack proves ineffective against the frog-like enemy, which mocks the attempt since water wouldn't work on a frog. The girl trapped in the slime tightens her grip, alarmed by the situation worsening. She realizes this is bad as the enemy remains unfazed. Suddenly, a large man in a suit steps forward, covering his mouth as he interrupts the scene with a calm but commanding, "Excuse me," drawing everyone's attention amid the chaos. The fragments of the defeated enemy scatter across the tiled floor, drawing the attention of the group. A small, dark object flies through the air, signaling the end of the battle. The woman kneeling, injured and clutching her arm, looks up in surprise. Her gaze shifts to the man in the suit standing calmly among the carnage, his hand covering his mouth thoughtfully. The two armored figures behind her watch silently, their expressions unreadable. The man's face, marked with dirt and scratches, turns slightly as he contemplates the scene, his presence commanding despite the chaos. The man's face is pixelated, revealing a streaming censorship effect. Text explains that if an adventurer or ordinary person hasn't consented to streaming, AI automatically censors their face and voice. The narration thanks Mr. Explainer for the clarification. The woman, still on the ground, recognizes the man and questions if he is the rumored Shinjuku bat. The man in the suit stands firm, his identity concealed but unmistakable. The woman's expression hardens as she processes the revelation, noting the unusual combination of a suit and a bat. The man's presence signals a fateful encounter with a famous streamer, leaving the group tense and alert. The man in the suit, battered but resolute, silently signals readiness as he walks forward, gripping his weapon. The woman on the ground nods quietly, accepting the challenge. The man commands the frog-like enemy to come at him. A small fox-like creature perched on a camera rig prepares to film, as the live viewer count ticks upward on the Shinjuku Bat channel. Comments flood in, questioning if this is a newbie stream or a collab, while a blonde woman watches with curiosity. A girl sitting nearby explains the previous stream died because her filming drone was wrecked, and viewers are now flocking to this new stream. She wonders about the odds of randomly encountering a top streamer like Swearin. The blonde woman and her companions stare in disbelief as the man in the suit effortlessly solos the frogs they had struggled against as a trio. The girl playing on her phone gleefully remarks on the sound of money flooding in now that the previous stream is down. The man swings his weapon with overwhelming force, striking down an enemy with a perfect shot, his power shocking everyone. The man wipes sweat from his brow, calling the fight a beginner course and a light workout. The woman kneeling scolds him for his outrageous words, questioning his judgment. He covers his mouth, admonishing her for causing alarm in the border zone, and asks what she was thinking, while the small group watches the aftermath of the battle. A girl protests that they didn't do anything wrong, explaining the alarm went off as soon as they opened the treasure chest, which was empty. Making no sense, another insists they're victims too, while a woman holding a phone says they were streaming and can check the footage. A voice warns that even the slightest misstep can be fatal here, pointing to a metal bat and recalling the ridiculous strength and the suit. The man in the suit stands with the group at the dungeon entrance, confirming there's no doubt about their innocence. He thinks to himself that this man is the infamous Shinjuku bat, and wonders who the real culprit is, noting the group doesn't seem to be lying. The man denies being anything special, claiming to be just a passing civilian, and warns that civilians shouldn't wander into dungeons alone. A girl excitedly says she's heard about him and how ridiculously strong he is. Another asks him to avoid sharing personal details since he's still streaming. The armored woman notes the stream is already down, so it's fine. The group agrees not to push too hard for now, while one recognizes him as the Shinjuku bat, streaming live and dropping redirect links, questioning if he's playing dumb. The man reflects that young girls these days are terrifying, whispering secrets in public and probably calling him a gross old man. He contemplates how messy things will get if he gets involved. The woman recalls hearing of a famous streamer named Swearin. As the man starts to leave, a girl runs after him, shouting for him to wait and hold on, while he silently pauses in surprise. The man asks if there's anything else, noticing the look on her face that suggests she doesn't want to deal with this at all. The girl nervously wonders if she should say thanks or something. He gives an example, imagining a cyclist running a red light with a truck speeding toward them, and how one could reach out to stop the crash. He compares them to the cyclist, asking if ignoring such a situation would make one feel awful afterward. The girl bluntly says there's no need for thanks, it would just be a hassle. She admits she didn't save him, only avoided feeling bad herself. Frustrated, she mutters that he's such a pain. Nearby, two armored women comment on his attitude, one saying strength doesn't justify being a jerk. While the other wonders what's with that attitude, the girl trails off, conflicted. One woman blushes, admitting he might be kind of cool, shocking the other, who exclaims in surprise. The man is shown with a tired look in his eyes, paired with overwhelming strength. The girl is told to stop making that love-struck face, as the stream might have ended, but fans seeing this would cause chaos. Comments flood in, joking about the possibility of Swearin dating him and calling him ancient but cool. The man walks away down a dungeon corridor, his face pixelated to avoid revealing his identity. A girl with twin tails and futuristic armor smiles as she plays on a handheld device, pleased with the outcome. She notes that even when a cute girl pushes him, he just brushes it off smoothly. So typical of him. Sitting against a wall, she quietly questions if the trap they encountered was strange, her gaze drifting to the shattered remains of a broken treasure chest. Standing outside near a tree, she recalls how adventurers learn skills by imagining a straight tree, with the thick trunk as the core skill every awakened adventurer naturally develops. She explains that in her case, the core skill is Stealth SSS, a power that completely hides her presence and form, as she walks past a large monster and a treasure chest. She continues, describing how as adventurers level up, they sometimes gain subskills like branches growing from the trunk. One such subskill she has is Ninja Art B, which even works with drones. Concentrating, she uses an appraisal skill on the broken chest, her eye focused intently. The appraisal reveals the chest is broken and empty, prompting chat comments questioning if it was rigged to go off and if someone deliberately set it up to mess with an adventurer, possibly targeting her during a stream. A small creature wonders aloud if someone tried to pull off a monster player killer attack. Noting how scary it is that this happened while she was streaming, the girl contemplates the possibility, her expression tense. She commands her Shikigami drones to search, sensing the culprit might still be nearby. The drones swiftly take flight, their eyes scanning the area. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension, teasing that the target has been found. The battered man groans, unsure what to do after others aggroed a deep-layer boss monster. Nearby, a girl with twin tails playing on her device spots something and exclaims in surprise. She recognizes the figures as the dungeon lover, questioning if she's seen them before. A man in a suit firmly refuses a grateful girl's persistent thanks and contact request, causing her to give up in frustration. Another watches the scene, relieved his own stream was off, but notices the Shinjuku Bat channel remains live. Outside a dungeon gate, two cloaked figures argue about their failure to save Suiren, blaming bad luck and deciding to flee. A man carrying a girl calls out to her, while another notices a suspicious treasure chest nearby. The girl commands to find the culprit behind the treasure chest. She casts a water magic spell that sends ripples scanning the surroundings like sonar. The man in the suit observes, impressed by the technique, as the girl announces they've located their target. A powerful water magic spell called Great Vortex erupts, tearing apart the ground and sending debris flying. Four figures stand firm amid the destruction. A desperate man shouts in shock and panic, trying to get their attention. Nearby, two others call out urgently, their voices echoing over the chaos. The spell's effect restrains enemies over a wide area with sustained damage and terrain manipulation. A girl cheers enthusiastically while another questions if the attack is excessive. A third reassures her it was a good decision. A man in a dark suit, surrounded by ominous flames, is addressed as Uncle by a surprised onlooker. The desperate man struggles against the torrent of water, cursing his fate and vowing revenge. Two girls watch the scene with concern. The man in the suit approaches steadily, his presence commanding attention. Others call out to him urgently, alarmed by his approach. The man in the suit commands to shoot immediately, urging swift action. Magical projectiles launch forward, striking their target with precision. The attacker reacts with frustration, but the man in the suit confirms a direct hit, instructing to aim for the foothold. Shock and confusion ripple through the scene as the battle intensifies. A man in a dark suit dashes forward with fierce determination, surrounded by swirling water and debris. Memories flash as he recalls his old boss's words about the secret to overtime. Pushing beyond limits, two girls watch in awe, one quietly impressed, the other excitedly cheering. The man charges, shouting that he's going all out. Suddenly, the man runs across the water's surface, causing shock and disgust among onlookers. A bystander yells in disbelief, while the suited man notices the vortex forming below and orders everyone to fall back. A wounded man in the water looks up, confused by the unfolding chaos. A flashback reveals a man explaining how to keep working despite exhaustion. By moving your hands before passing out and lifting your feet before they sink, you can run on water. The suited man reflects on this absurd but effective technique, comparing it to the daily struggles at his company. He repeats the mantra that if you keep this up, you can work forever. The battle intensifies as a masked attacker leaps toward a group of armored fighters. One of them fires a powerful blast, hitting a man squarely in the face. The injured man curses his assailant, shocked by the sudden attack. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure approaches through the chaos, taunting the fighters as weaklings. The suited man suddenly calls out, catching everyone's attention with a firm, "Excuse me." A figure leaps toward him, shouting "Potato." Nearby, a wounded man covers his mouth in shock. Others anxiously ask if the suited man is okay. A group of girls warns to be careful about what they say since the old man's channel is still live, prompting a quick affirmative response. One girl senses something amiss, noting she hasn't felt the streaming drone's presence. Suspecting a stealth skill user nearby, the group of fighters sits cautiously amid the rubble, recognizing the suited man as the infamous dungeon lover. The suited man questions their actions, demanding if they understand the consequences, while a girl protests she was just watching. The suited man kneels beside the wounded fighter, gasping in recognition. He realizes this old man is the cause of his consecutive late-night overtime. The culprit? His expression darkens with anger as he demands the old man explain his presence. The old man tries to calm him down, but the suited man's rage intensifies, shouting, "Dungeon lover!" The wounded man vehemently denies wrongdoing, terrified and confused. The girl who warned earlier admits she was the one who blasted them with magic. The wounded man angrily vows to teach the clueless old man a lesson. Hurling a crate at him, alarmed, the girl calls out about another alarm, while the wounded man challenges them to bring out stronger monsters. The narration remarks that the old man is indeed teaching them a lesson, confirming their guilt. The wounded man taunts the old man, warning him not to get cocky just because he's a bit strong. He calls him a middle-aged newbie and yells for him to die, launching an attack at the peanut-shaped monster. The wounded man laughs off the monster as weak, demanding a stronger one while the peanut monster sizzles. The girl with a headband explains they set up an alarm to team up with Swearin and take it down. The wounded man insists it was a prank and begs for forgiveness. But the suited man scolds them for treating people's lives like a game, noting they were about to help. Despite all this, no apology is offered. The suited man orders the wounded man to stop grinning after causing so much trouble. The wounded man is struck hard, his face smashed, and declared dead. The girl anxiously asks if the suited man is okay, who then smiles brightly, saying he feels refreshed. The suited man charges forward, crashing through debris and knocking the wounded man aside with a powerful strike, counting off the hits as he advances. Shock ripples through the group as one exclaims in disbelief, questioning if the man is really dead or if it's an overreaction. A woman calmly commands Swearin to move on. Turning away with resolve, Swearin herself blushes deeply, overwhelmed by admiration and awe, whispering how cool the man is and addressing him respectfully as Shinjuku Bat-sama. In the adventure publishing sales department, a woman urgently informs Sato-san that Dungeon Lover has been expelled. She explains they messed up during a live stream, causing their adventurer license to be revoked and the guild to expel them. Sato-san, unfazed, declares he's not interested. A news headline confirms Dungeon Lover's expulsion due to police trouble during a live stream, accusing them of malicious MPK acts against the popular streamer Swearin. Sato-san breathes a sigh of relief, noting his name isn't mentioned and the promise was kept. A flashback shows Dungeon Lovers group facing the harsh reality of their license revocation. The department head of investigation worries about being dragged into trouble due to the incident. Admitting uncertainty about the police report, he just wants to enjoy his hobbies quietly. Nearby, a group stands before a barred gate. A woman nervously asks if they can keep quiet about her involvement in the incident. Another woman eagerly agrees to keep the secret. The woman with the cat-eared hat and the armored man listen as the woman with the large chest makes a request to Sato-san. He looks confused but attentive as she asks for a favor in return for their silence. Madoka Ukai mentions how Shinjuku Bat has already surpassed 80,000 subscribers. Wishing someone like him would join their team, the man sighs, lamenting that the big shot streamers from Doom keep ignoring them, and doubts they can find a replacement for Dungeon Lover. Suddenly, a cute animated girl sends cheerful messages saying, "This is my first message. Nice to meet you, sir," filling the screen with hearts and love. The man nervously wonders what is being plotted as he checks his phone, revealing he exchanged contact info with the girl despite his worries. Madoka asks if he got spam mail, and he admits it's like a dating app message from a young girl, calling it hopeless. She excitedly says she has those messages too. While he explains the app is convenient for keeping in touch with family, Madoka asks if he has the app installed, surprising him. Madoka happily asks to exchange contact info, revealing she uses the same app. The man internally panics, not wanting to use his personal phone for work communication but struggles to find an excuse to refuse. Madoka beams with joy, saying she's wanted to exchange info for a while and is glad she could ask naturally. The man groans in frustration but is saved when the department head calls for him. He eagerly responds and prepares to leave with Madoka. The department head watches them with a serious expression, and the man senses a bad feeling about what's coming. A woman asks if a replacement has been found for Dungeon Lover. A man replies that it's only been a day and they haven't received any email replies yet. She sighs, saying it figures. She then looks at a magazine titled Special Feature on popular dungeon streamers, and admits the situation is really bad. The woman points out a problem with their flagship magazine. A man, surprised, asks if she's being sarcastic since it's their flagship. She explains that Dungeon Lover was supposed to have an exclusive center color spread next week. Related merchandise and sponsors had lined up, and the other side thought they could finally breathe easy. A young woman nervously calls out to the woman, who cuts to the chase and addresses her as Ukai. The man reminds her that the content is the editorial. department's job while they are in sales. The woman orders Doom Productions to pitch the magazine, telling Sato to back her up. The man looks serious. While the young woman questions if it's really Doom Productions, the woman confirms it, describing Doom Productions as the industry leader with multiple streamers boasting over 100,000 subscribers. The woman asks if they have a budget for this, but the man replies they're still broke. She smiles slyly, saying that's where his sales skills come in. He nervously says he's counting on her. Suddenly, both the man and the young woman react with shock as a sudden urgent challenge arises, with the next update scheduled for January 23rd, Thursday. A man announces himself as Tanaka from Nantoka Publishing, greeting the others with a casual yo. He is revealed as Kachidoki Kinya, a former streamer with 123,000 subscribers, now a manager at Doom Productions. Another man introduces himself as Satu from Adventurer's Bookstore. Satu introduces Ukai to Kachidoki, explaining they are here to discuss a potential collaboration. Ukai nervously prepares to explain the details but is urged to hurry by Satu. Kachidoki dismisses the proposal as boring and questions the value of appealing to their magazine's small readership. Satu responds calmly, telling Kachidoki to return when their circulation triples, noting even their lowest-tier streamers pull better numbers. He admits the other side likely never intended to do business with them, and Kachidoki scoffs at the idea of a print-only publication acting like a real media outlet nowadays, calling the meeting a waste of time. Ukai trembles nervously but is encouraged to reach out to the streamers, as a small gathering of executives and top streamers is being hosted soon. Kachidoki looks on with a gulp as Ukai excitedly reacts to the possibility of landing a gig or two if they play their cards right. The man leers, telling her she's kind of sexy and an adult, implying she should understand his intentions. She reacts with shock and fear, stammering that it's sexual harassment and a compliance violation. He insists that if she keeps him entertained, it will boost his reputation too. He quickly adds he's not forcing anything, but suggests a private meeting in a hotel room just for the two of them. She clenches her jaw, visibly distressed. Satu then enters, thanking them for their time and announcing they are leaving. Satu explains that in this era, everything can be broadcast worldwide, and popular streamers with hundreds of thousands of subscribers face difficulties visiting certain places. He warns some streamers get banned because their stamina overwhelms workers, and mentions the risk of scandals and physical issues. A new trend has emerged. Private hotel parties arranged by fallen streamers to lure clueless civilians. The man stands confidently, mentioning the Shubun canon and hinting at an expose coming next week. He denies any involvement by Doom Productions and tells himself he won't be part of it. Satu smiles knowingly, saying old media sticks together and they have connections, then leads the way out as others awkwardly excuse themselves. A woman in a suit is startled as a man suddenly grabs her hand and pulls her away. A fierce man with a scar and slicked back hair yells at a calm man in glasses, accusing him of disrespect and threatening to smash his face. The man in glasses effortlessly grabs the aggressor's arm, stopping his attack. The scarred man is shocked and frustrated, realizing the man in glasses is pathetically weak and clearly not using his full strength. The calm man adjusts his tie and declares negotiations are over. The two in suits walk away, the woman nervously thanking the man in glasses for saving them. He smiles and says not to mention it, but firmly states the deal is dead. The man in glasses reflects on the failure of the Dungeon Lover project, which left a huge gap in their next issue. A stern woman demands results and warns of a serious scolding from upstairs. The man and woman walk through a cityscape, the man silently wondering what to do next. A tense man with a scar stares silently out a window, sweat beading on his face. Below, a suited figure stands confidently in the hallway. The scarred man clenches his fist, his knuckles cracking loudly. Suddenly, a cheerful man whistles and calls out, asking what's wrong, but the scarred man reacts with a sharp, pained. The scarred man violently strikes the cheerful man, who screams in pain, blood spilling onto the floor. The scarred man licks his bloodied fingers and asserts his strength, questioning if the other is scared. The injured man nervously admits he is, barely hiding his fear. The scarred man grabs the injured man by the collar, noticing his broken front teeth and promising to heal them later. He orders the man to be his punching bag, silencing any protest. Outside, people walk by unaware, while the scarred man's grip tightens. The scarred man, now on the phone, angrily addresses someone named Satu from the Adventurer's Bookstore. He threatens revenge, calling the man old and declaring him dead, his expression full of malice as he prepares for confrontation. A woman wonders aloud if the rumor about Sato's autumn canon is true. A man in glasses dismisses it as just an industry rumor, not solid enough for an article. When asked if it's not true, he solemnly admits that Sato is definitely doing it. Narration reveals that streamers and fans wanting to collaborate with Doom Pro and female employees coming in for business meetings, have all been seduced by Sato. The man sighs, questioning whether their job is to secure deals or expose the industry's dirty secrets. A woman nervously asks if Sato is free tonight, catching his attention. The woman, blushing, nervously invites Sato out for a drink as thanks for earlier. She inwardly celebrates having actually asked him out. Sato smiles warmly, telling her not to feel indebted and that protecting coworkers is part of his job. She worries about repaying the favor. Sato explains he already has dinner plans because his sister and niece begged him to take them out. The woman anxiously wonders if it's a date or marriage interview, but he reassures her it's nothing like that. She looks surprised and uncertain as he smiles kindly. A woman apologizes, admitting she failed, while Sato walks through a busy station. Thinking about dinner plans with his family, he jokes he'll never get the chance to be a great dad. He wonders where the restaurant is as he hurries along, while a message confirms the place is a classic beer hall, just his style. Sato notes the humid weather makes beer taste better. He reflects that his sister is feeling generous, treating them in Ginza. Though he's unsure if a beer hall suits her, he decides to go all in with a king-sized beer, gulping it down with a smile. Suddenly, a firm hand grabs Sato's shoulder, ordering him to get off at the next station. A woman with glasses looks surprised and asks what's going on. A man with a tropical shirt angrily accuses Sato of groping a woman. Claiming he recorded it on video, Sato calmly denies it, showing both hands are full. The accuser insists even brushing against someone counts as sexual harassment, shouting it's common sense. A man in a loud shirt boasts about his 38,000 subscribers as Chiken Buster Mamoru, demanding Sato hand over his ID, claiming he knows plenty of cops nearby. Sato insists he hasn't been harassed and calls it a misunderstanding, while the man insists many victims don't even realize they're assaulted. A woman with glasses looks uneasy as the man shows a video, calling Sato a total creep. The man insists Sato can't just slide away from this, promising to handle it for the greater good. The woman orders him to delete the video, calling him a nuisance, but he ignores her. Sato sighs, frustrated, as he texts someone that he's held up by trouble and will be late. Sato calmly asks the man to keep his voice down, saying he's the one scaring the women. He apologizes for the trouble and requests to step off at the next station to talk with staff, asking for confirmation that he didn't harass anyone. The woman nods, determined to clear things up properly, while the man scowls in frustration. The man yells insults as he leaves the train, calling Sato a loser and a pervert. Passengers whisper and glare, labeling him a groper and warning others to be cautious. Sato walks away, ignored by the crowd, while the woman watches with a serious expression. He senses something is wrong as people suddenly call him a pervert loudly, ignoring the facts and branding him guilty. Realizing it's a setup, a trap planted against him, he contemplates chasing the culprit but fears causing more trouble for those around him. A woman nearby urges to go after the man, startling him as she collides into him. The man with the scar and piercings shouts that only one person comes to mind when thinking of trouble. The woman apologizes, taking responsibility for the situation, while the man stands silently nearby. She admits she suspects why someone targeted her like this. The man with glasses comments it's a case of personal grudges, and the woman adjusts her glasses, responding with mild surprise. She suggests exchanging contact info to prevent the situation from worsening, showing a phone screen with a colorful character image. The man hesitates, feeling déjà vu and reluctant, but concedes to exchanging contacts. The scene shifts to a convenience store where a woman with long hair quietly wonders what kind of trouble her uncle has gotten into this time. A young woman stands alone, quietly sipping a drink by the window as two men enter nearby, one holding a phone. They exchange nervous glances, muttering that the promise of mom's coming too was a lie, both clearly flustered by her presence. The woman, now revealed with a determined expression, grips a pair of tongs and declares her intent to treat her uncle tonight, a confident smile playing on her lips. A lavish spread of food and drinks sparkles invitingly on the table, signaling a well-deserved treat. Two glasses are raised in a cheerful toast. The young woman eagerly calls out to her uncle, and he responds with a warm smile, clinking glasses with her. The uncle gulps down his beer with a relieved shout, clearly needing this moment after recent stress. The young woman beams, asking if it tastes good, and he affirms it's great. She encourages him to relax and drink as much as he wants tonight. Sitting across from her, he thanks her quietly, while she gently inquires if something happened to him. The uncle hesitates but admits he should drink in moderation as an adult. Though recent events on the train made this moment necessary, the young woman explains her sister is busy working and didn't have to go out of her way for him. She reveals this meal is her personal treat for him. He wonders silently about his sister's secretive work, recalling she mentioned being a handmade craftsman but won't share much. He's puzzled why she even keeps it hidden from her own daughter. The scene shifts outside the restaurant, where the uncle asks about school. Smiling warmly, the young woman laughs at his uncle-like question but replies enthusiastically that school is going great. With new friends and fulfilling days, he admits it's a bit hard to explain what he's been up to lately, showing a mix of curiosity and concern as they continue their conversation. She reveals she secretly started her own streaming channel under her uncle's name and it went viral, but she insists there's no way she'll tell him yet. Noticing his phone ringing, she points it out, but he decides to ignore it and drink instead. She protests, urging him to answer, but he apologizes and says he'll step outside for a bit. Outside the building, the man answers the call, greeted by a woman who immediately asks if he groped someone. The setting is identified as the adventurer's bookstore. He looks confused and asks her to repeat herself. On the phone, he explains there was an incident on the train less than an hour ago. The woman mentions a so-called chicken-busting streamer named Mamoru who uploaded a video exposing him. She notes most videos lack real evidence, but this one is spreading quickly despite not going viral, with people already guessing his workplace. The woman points out his face is blurred and no personal info is revealed. The woman continues, explaining their company's social media even received a direct message about the sexual harassment accusation. She asks what they plan to do. While he is shocked, she says it looks like he walked into a trap and apologizes for the trouble caused. He asks if she believes him, and she assures him his survival instincts are stronger than his sex drive, saying he would never take such a stupid risk. On the phone, he admits the boss knows him too well. He suspects the whole incident is too elaborate for a small-time streamer. Hinting someone is pulling the strings, only one person comes to mind: Kanaya Katsudoki, Doom Productions manager. A woman angrily condemns the industry's biggest agency for staging a casting couch stunt and retaliating with false allegations when rejected. A man walking at night agrees but urges focusing on handling the situation first, lacking solid proof. The woman on the phone insists their initial response is solid, having contacted the supposed victim and station staff. She assures the man there will be no consequences for him, believing in his innocence. She despises those who twist justice and push casting couch deals. The man thanks his boss, apologizing for the interruption. The woman reminds him of a family dinner and tells him to have fun. As he leaves, he thinks to himself that there is no evidence against him. A blurred-out anonymous post accuses a man working at a publishing company of being a groper caught in the act on the metro. The narrator reflects that the video evidence is weak, so the accusers keep details minimal. A man nervously stammers as he is confronted. While another calls him a sleazy bastard and says scumbags like him always know how to cover their asses, the man's anger boils over as he laments that the accusations have dragged his company and co-workers into the mess, ruining even the time he's supposed to spend with his family. He shouts in frustration, counting down with clenched teeth. The man arrives at a restaurant where a young woman cheerfully welcomes him back as uncle. He replies with a tense, dark smile, saying he's back. The woman, shocked and confused, urgently asks what happened. The man tries to downplay the situation, insisting it's no big deal. The woman presses, sensing he's hiding something, telling him he doesn't have to keep secrets from her. He drinks a glass of beer, while the woman watches him with concern. The man explains there was a small issue at work but insists he'll be fine. He offers to take a taxi home, asking if she has somewhere to be. The woman protests, saying she and her mother were supposed to treat him tonight, but he insists she keep the change as pocket money. She protests again, but he walks away, leaving her standing there holding the money, stunned. The Shinjuku Bat channel boasts 85,000 subscribers. As an emergency announcement declares Shinjuku Bat's dungeon raid stream will go live tonight. A young woman eagerly urges to check it out, responding to excited chat messages about the live event. She playfully kisses a ticket featuring Shinjuku Bat's image, winking confidently. Meanwhile, a city scene shows her teasingly telling her uncle he's not getting away that easily, though she's confused about what's happening. At the deluxe diner set, a man orders 1 hour of service, and the clerk confirms the usual 500 yen charge. A tense exchange reveals a major agency is forcing casting couch deals on streamers, framing them for crimes. The man's grim expression and clenched fist show his anger at those who think with lust instead of brains. The muscular man grips a bat emblazoned with a skull, vowing to purge the monsters of lust. He steps into a building called the Lust Palace, determined to release all his pent-up stress in the dungeon tonight. The chapter opens on the Incubus Palace, a dungeon resembling the red light district of Shinjuku Kabuki-cho, where monstrous tentacles writhe through the wreckage. It's said this warped space formed when the old red light district and the dungeon merged. A man kneels in front of a vending machine, praying quietly in this eerie, twisted place. During the dungeon disaster, this area was especially chaotic, with many casualties. This corner of the Kabukicho dungeon remains dangerous. A den crawling with sex-crazed monsters and demons. Tentacled creatures lurk in the shadows, their grotesque forms stirring uneasily. Among the monsters, one stands out. A bulky salaryman trapped in a demon's grasp, wearing his boyfriend's dress shirt. The narrator identifies the demon's kinks. Glasses, plain glasses, mob face, and more. The man clenches his fist, revealing his reason for coming here. The man swings a bat at the demon, shouting insults as he strikes. He attacks with precision, swinging at a curveball thrown by the monster, determined to fight back against the depraved creatures that haunt this dungeon. A monstrous demon is blasted into the air by a powerful strike, exploding against a wall like fireworks. The muscular salaryman, gripping a bat, praises his attack. Blasting sex-crazed scumbags feels damn good. The salaryman vents his rage, listing abuses like power harassment, sexual harassment, and false accusations that pile up from his life. His glare sharpens as he vows to take it out on all of them. Nearby, a small creature reacts with a horrified, "Yikes!" while a screen shows the demon of kinks, a dangerous monster with weak telepathy and camouflage. A female warrior in armor-worn stealth cannot be cancelled here. The Shinjuku Incubus Palace monsters are mainly demons with high physical and magical resistance. She stresses the danger. Losing means death regardless of gender. The salaryman swings his bat fiercely, shouting at the monsters for their vile acts like groping on a packed train. The salaryman blasts another demon with his bat, shouting, "Get blasted, pervs!" The demon screams in blissful pain as it struck. The female warrior watches anxiously, relieved but shaken. A text box comments on how people feel guilty even if innocent, especially during these harsh times. A female streamer with twin tails and a confident smile curses fiercely at the salaryman, calling him a casting couch dirtbag scum with your brain in your pants. A narration box explains his strength makes everyone feel safe, even if his face is hidden. A super chat message pops up, urging someone to buy him something tasty for 10,000 yen. The battered salaryman stands silently, gripping his blood-stained bat, while a small winged creature perches on his shoulder. The salaryman stands alone amidst defeated monsters, pondering quietly. The streamer thanks her fans for a super chat, excited that ads are now running on her stream. She promises to give everything to her uncle if she hits it big, so he can quit his job. She giggles happily, surrounded by flowers, while the salaryman and a girl in a cap smile beside her. Suddenly, the salaryman notices something and turns sharply. A massive spear crashes down into the battlefield, causing a huge explosion of dust and debris. The salaryman reacts with shock, eyes wide as he recognizes the weapon. The salaryman charges forward with his bat, smashing through the rubble with fierce determination. The spear glows with power as he moves, and the monsters recoil in fear. He lets out a sharp breath, ready to strike again as the battlefield trembles around him. The stream abruptly cuts out, leaving a message on the screen. Stream interrupted. Please wait a moment. Comments flood in, speculating the drone was wrecked and questioning if the uncle is in trouble. Shock and disbelief grip the girl watching, wondering if he noticed his uncle. Meanwhile, a massive spear lies embedded in the rubble, still glowing with power. The spear suddenly vanishes in a flash, leaving a stunned man looking on. A woman with a determined expression grips the spear's shaft, preparing to strike. The battlefield trembles as she readies herself, eyes locked on her target. The woman lunges forward, spear in hand. As the muscular man raises his bat in defense, both react with surprise at the sudden clash. The woman swings her spear with precision, forcing the man to parry fiercely. The tension escalates as they face off in the ruined arena. The man shouts for her to wait, eyes sharp behind his glasses. He blocks her spear with his bat, their weapons clashing with a sharp sound. The woman's face shows sweat and determination, her resolve unwavering despite the pressure. The battle hangs on a knife's edge as they stare each other down. The girl suddenly halts, gripping her spear tightly as she shouts for the human to wait. She bows deeply, apologizing repeatedly, explaining she thought no one else was around. The man warns her to be more careful, his tone serious but calm. The scene shifts to a tense observation as a stealthy figure notes she hasn't been spotted, despite the disrupted feed caused by a drone caught in an earlier attack. The girl with the spear stands quietly, troubled, wondering why the other female streamer is here. She is revealed as Senna, known as Spear Dancer, a top platinum-ranked artist-type streamer with over 1 million subscribers, affiliated with F1M Doom Productions and recognized as the strongest female solo physical attacker. The ruined cityscape is overrun by monstrous tentacles, a stark contrast to the girl in futuristic armor who beams with excitement, despite viral music videos and promotional content. She refuses ads and monetization. Known as a top athlete-artist hybrid, her only income comes from music and merchandise. Making her presence here puzzling, she gasps, convinced this footage will go viral wildly. A muscular man with glasses watches the scene, amazed that first Swearin and now Senna are involved, declaring his uncle a legend. A small robotic companion activates, signaling the start of a live stream. The armored girl worries about official footage exposing her, deciding to blur and mute the conversation to avoid drama. The stream resumes, showing the pixelated silhouettes of the muscular man and the armored girl. Chat erupts in disbelief, recognizing the figures despite the heavy pixelation. The girl calls out to the muscular man, who denies anything is wrong, even as a hardcore fan freaks out mid-super chat. The armored girl apologizes, explaining her poor eyesight led her to mistake the muscular man for a monster and asks if his last strike was accidental. The man admits he'd die if legendary acts were like that. The narration explains that most adventure weapons come from dungeons and are mass-produced, with duplicates sold by the guild, but some weapons cannot be replicated with modern technology. Ever since dungeons appeared, a few rare items were discovered, legend-class treasures that adventurers desperately seek. The weapon she holds is one of them. The legend-class, Burst Lance, Gibalg. He realizes she really is Senna from Doom Productions and wonders if she's live-streaming now. He thinks she's a celebrity who even performed at Kahaku but senses no one else nearby. The armored girl denies wearing glasses or contacts despite her bad eyesight, but he calls her out on lying. She swings her lance with fierce precision, breaking through obstacles. She snaps her lance again, launching a barrage of strikes. The man dodges and counters, their battle intensifying with crashing impacts. He watches her closely, expression serious. The fight erupts suddenly, the armored girl and the man exchanging powerful blows. The narrator exclaims at the clash between Spear Dancer and Shinjuku Bat, noting their insane levels as they battle fiercely in the ruined cityscape. The man raises a wooden bat, preparing to strike, while the armored girl named Senna watches intently, her expression alert as she hears the command to halt. Their fierce battle continues with rapid swings and powerful impacts, sending debris flying. Senna notices something unusual about the bat and questions if it's a commercial item, sensing no mana from it. The man explains it's just standard batting cage rental gear, a simple imitation inspired by a kung fu movie he likes. Senna reacts in shock, realizing his bad eyesight excuse was a lie, while he calmly demonstrates late-night stress relief by mimicking kung fu moves alone at work. The man points out that she closed her eyes during the battle, explaining why she couldn't distinguish friend from foe. He asks if that was why her strike just now was off, then admits he risked interfering because her opening move relied on vision and she couldn't react fast without it. She questions if he went out of his way to say that. He reflects that death isn't an issue for adventurers, but life isn't cheap despite the saying that they always resurrect. He confesses that dying is still terrifying, especially when a higher-ranked monster attacks mercilessly, raising the fear to another level. He warns her that even if the body returns, the heart might not, having seen teammates suffer that fate. She listens quietly as he admits he hates being the kind of guy who gives lectures but feels compelled to warn her before it's too late. She thanks him for the advice, apologizing for overstepping. She admits she's scared and can't open her eyes. Her main skill, Insightful Eye, is unclassified at EX level because there's no comparable skill to measure it by. When activated, her viewpoint shifts higher, like looking down in a third-person game. She demonstrates the skill in battle, her reflexes and reaction speed improving so much it feels like time slows down. She explains it works well against darkness-type skills, allowing her to see right through anything up to A rank without fail. The man recalls that she's had this skill since she was 4, dating back 18 years to the dungeon disaster. A stealthy figure with SSS rank stealth watches the scene, while the man and the armored girl stand ready, relieved after a close call. Senna recalls the day she was separated from her parents as a swarm of monsters poured out of the dungeon and attacked the city. 18 years ago, chaos erupted with people screaming and fleeing amidst the destruction. The monsters charge fiercely, their guttural roars filling the air. A young Senna is chased and grabbed by one of the creatures, her terrified scream piercing through the chaos. The city crumbles further under the onslaught, screams echoing as buildings fall. A battered man clutches a phone, anguished and desperate, questioning the purpose of growing stronger if he can't protect anyone. His frustration boils over in repeated curses. The man, sweat and dirt streaking his face, vows to protect the child no matter what. Senna, injured and exhausted, wonders what became of the man who saved her. The one who fought off monsters to get her healing potions and brought her to safety after her eye injury. The man asks about Senna's parents, and she apologizes for being lost in the memory. She reveals both her parents survived, which brings relief. He admits he only survived the chaos and couldn't save anyone. Senna recalls not knowing the shelter was overrun until it was too late, unable to save even one boy, the kid who saved her. The man grips his weapon tightly, and Senna smiles warmly, telling him she's glad he's alive. His expression turns serious as he begins to speak. Senna confesses the truth. She became an adventurer to thank the man who saved her. After reuniting with her parents, she was separated from him during the shelter chaos. She hopes that if she becomes famous, he might notice and reach out. Despite her fear of monsters and inability to open her eyes in battle, she manages alone. Unable to work in a team, the man listens thoughtfully, understanding her pain. He acknowledges noticing her skill immediately and urges her not to waste the life she managed to keep. He admits watching young people get hurt is hard for him, calling himself a sensitive old man. Senna looks at him with a gentle, grateful smile. She watches him swing a bat, thinking he's a strange one who says he's here for batting practice. His face looks familiar, but she can't quite place him. She recalls a man from the train earlier, but this one is more muscular. Maybe he just has a common face? The small bat-like creature worries, realizing the return fire came and that he's being investigated. It stares intently, feeling this is bad. She can't hear their conversation but feels just seeing them safe is enough. The woman suggests moving to avoid suspicion, noting their pixelated faces and muted mics keep viewers from hearing them. She hesitates, wondering if it could be who she suspects. Suddenly, a loud shout erupts as a muscular man approaches them. The man with a camera cheerfully asks if they mind chatting for a moment. The suited man, tense and surprised, asks who exactly this newcomer is, while the woman looks on with wide eyes. Dan, the legendary behind-the-scenes cameraman, introduces himself as the freelance staffer in charge of Senna-chan's shoots. Though Swearin rarely works with him, Dan handles deep dungeon shoots and charges a premium, focusing on MVs and PVs rather than streams. Sata wonders why there are so many experts here, and if Dan is live streaming. But Dan admits he hates live broadcasts because mistakes can't be edited out. He smiles, calling himself an artist and noting Senna's face is sharp but she's just a regular Japanese woman. Dan reveals he can fight a little and is a favorite filmmaker of Senna, who always asks for him. Sata questions filming straight in dungeons, thinking it a death wish, expecting drones instead. Senna introduces herself as a spear dancer here to film a new music video. While Dan praises her skill and is impressed by a rookie on her level, Sata denies any such rookie exists. Dan criticizes executives who lack field experience, forcing the worst jobs on freelancers like him, which happens all the time. Senna agrees, relating strongly. Dan angrily recalls a rookie who couldn't even make it to Incubus Palace, calling it disqualifying. Satu and Senna listen, understanding the harsh realities of their work. Satu reflects on his recent similar experience. While Senna asks about the rookie's safety, Dan, with a hopeful smile, asks Senna if she can be in the PV instead, promising he could shoot the perfect video with her. The man's expression clearly says no, and he admits he really doesn't want to be in the spotlight. The other offers an official deal, promising credit and payment from Doom Pro. But the man insists it's not about money. They wonder what his face looks like now, eager to see his reaction. The offer proposes replacing the man's face and name with a CG avatar, paying from his own pocket and keeping the man's identity secret from the agency. The woman notes this is a lot of effort for someone outside the company. The man expresses his resolve as a filmmaker, willing to spend his entire budget to shoot a collaboration with Senna. The woman asks if the man would also like to join, and he admits he can go all out if it's with her. Senna reflects on not wanting to compromise on this job, determined to give her best for the people waiting for her video. The man covers his mouth, silently moved by her resolve, as she pleads earnestly. The man grips a rental bat tightly, revealing the equipment is rented and time-limited. The woman apologizes for the delay, while the man confidently declares he'll clear the dungeon in 25 minutes. The man firmly declares he doesn't need payment and offers the woman the choice to follow him and film. She responds with a determined yes, while another man shouts enthusiastically to leave the task to him. A sleek drone named Albacore deploys, activating auto defense, background music, and live capture. The man and woman start moving forward as the man comments on the hypnotic quality of the music, wondering if it provides a buff effect. The man swings his bat, smashing through enemies and debris with powerful strikes. The woman watches, amazed and laughing nervously, thrilled by the unreal spectacle and ready to give her all. The woman shatters a massive emerald wall with a decisive strike, signaling their advance. She urges to move forward as the shattered wall crashes down, clearing their path. He feels embarrassed, an old man trying to keep up beside a pretty girl who asked him to duet. He calls himself pathetic, but his expression shifts as he pushes forward with determination. Despite his doubts, he couldn't refuse her request. People who take pride in their work shine too brightly, and he can't ignore that. She shatters the emerald wall with a powerful strike, clearing the path. The chat erupts with praise and donations, amazed by the speed and skill displayed. Suddenly, the SSS class boss monster appears. A massive dragon called the Demon of the Dragon Chariot, looming ominously over the scene. The heavy creaking of a truck echoes as the chapter opens, revealing the massive boss of the Incubus Palace. An insatiable greed dragon. Looming over the scene, the dragon roars fiercely, its jaws wide open, as a lone man stands firm before it. Suddenly, the ground trembles violently beneath them as the dragon's speed shocks the man and the woman beside him. Debris and shattered stone fly everywhere. But the footing remains solid and unfazed, an impossible challenge for anyone to handle. The man grits his teeth, frustrated by the reckless difficulty of the dungeon. He wonders who could be balancing such a brutal trial. Satan himself? The dragon, grotesque and powerful, crushes the truck beneath its claws as the man declares his resolve to enter. The woman follows closely, shouting her agreement. Rocks and debris swirl violently as the woman swings her bat with fierce determination, vowing she won't let the dragon advance. Her eyes blaze with resolve, framed by a large flower accessory, as she prepares to face the overwhelming threat head-on. The man, muscular and determined, strikes the dragon's horn with a powerful swing, shattering stone and debris around them. The dragon collapses, but suddenly snarls and begins to rise again, refusing to fall. The man unleashes a fierce attack, shouting the name of his move, Gibalg, as a spear of energy crashes into the dragon. The beast roars in pain, but the man braces for the next move, eyes sharp and focused. Flames engulf the dragon, hitting an old man nearby, but the man's clothes stand out. They aren't dungeon-grade gear. The woman and her companion watch in shock, realizing something unusual about his appearance. The man steps forward calmly, the flames swirling around him as he prepares his next strike. The man declares that even if the dragon's form is lost, its core remains. The woman admires him, noting his intense fanbase and pure charisma, while the man readies his bat, explaining that striking the core, even with a wild pitch, could end the fight. His swing gathers the flames, ready to deliver a decisive blow. Flames swirl fiercely around the dragon's core as the man swings his bat with all his might, shouting the name of his attack. Wild Pitch Slayer. The fiery energy spirals outward, ready to strike the vulnerable core. The explosive impact sends debris flying in every direction, shattering the ground beneath them. The man and the woman stand firm amid the chaos, watching the aftermath of the powerful blow. The dragon screeches in pain, staggering as a large vehicle crashes nearby. The woman leaps forward, her weapon sparking as she prepares to attack again, while the dragon reels from the assault. A man watching the scene erupts in cheers, praising the attack as perfect and insane. The man with the bat, catching his breath, awkwardly asks the woman her name, breaking the tense moment with a quiet curiosity. The man introduces himself as K, explaining his name means a bright, fleeting light like the old kanji. Not a black cat or firefly. The woman, hesitant but sincere, admits she hates that kind of talk even as a joke. He looks puzzled, but she meets his gaze steadily. They stand amid the shattered arena as a man waves happily nearby, thanking them again. The woman beams, promising she'll never forget this stage, while Kay smiles warmly. A small creature watches them intently, its eyes wide and unblinking. The scene shifts to a streaming broadcast where a woman reacts in shock to the explosive subscriber count surpassing 140,000. Comments flood in praising the insane production value and Senosama's overwhelming influence, with fans donating wildly. The woman excitedly thanks everyone, calling out to Uncle X Senosama in gratitude. The scene opens at the Shinjuku Kabukicho Dungeon Revival Point, where a fountain reminiscent of Yumida's Fountain Square glistens under the night sky. A man remarks on the uncanny similarity of the layout. While a woman notes the late hour means few adventurers remain, the man asks if the other is Dan from Kansai, who thanks him for help with the trash pickup. The woman questions if they should split the loot evenly since Kay did most of the work, but he insists not to worry. He comments that she's the first person he's heard call item drops trash. They walk away from the fountain carrying bags, as she admits she can't guess the value of their haul. He finds her lack of greed odd. A man reflects on the legal ambiguities surrounding dungeon land ownership and loot claims, calling it a gray area full of loopholes. Rare drops like a diamond evil eye are worth barely 1,000,000 yen, and selling them requires an adventurer license. He recalls trying to cash out once but was banned immediately. Another man, reading a newspaper, shrugs off being 10 minutes late, Saying thanks anyway, the bustling Shinjuku station is shown at night, followed by a donation box labeled for dungeon disaster victims. The man internally dismisses all the loot as worthless junk that won't earn a single yen. A man adjusts his glasses, awkwardly admitting it feels strange to call the loot trash, but hopes it at least helps cover disposal costs. He notices the donation boxes are large enough to handle the load. A girl with a stealth skill active teases him for dumping all his loot into the donation box, calling it a waste. Another girl, irritated, complains about an old man littering by throwing junk in the donation box in front of Shinjuku Station. She insists they should report him to management, while her friend agrees he should be arrested. The scene widens to show several people gathered near the donation box, shocked by the act. An older man, out of breath, confirms he saw someone dump trash in the box and urges others to catch the culprit before he runs away. The crowd rushes toward the station, but the man clarifies he only wants to thank the person, not arrest him. The loot inside the donation box sparkles brilliantly, stunning onlookers. The old man expresses deep gratitude for the many donations, explaining it's been 18 years since the dungeon disaster, and the donor has anonymously given large sums for years. The crowd is surprised the generous benefactor looked like a normal man. The girl calls him the trash pickup guy. Noting they've tracked him enough to know he's always the same old man, she admits feeling bad for judging him but concludes that, honestly, old guys are kind of awesome. The next morning, a tired man sits quietly, his exhaustion evident. A woman named Akari Amahara, 2 years older than Keita and mother of Hikari, notices and asks if he didn't sleep. He admits dealing with unexpected chaos but is relieved to have the day off. Akari questions what happened, and he explains a client lost control during company outreach. He nearly faced a false molestation charge on his way to meet Hikari. Suddenly, Hikari bursts in with coffee, cheerfully asking if everything is ready. Akari is surprised Hikari met with the man and demands to know why, warning this isn't a cafe roleplay. The man is confused, but Hikari explains she just wanted to eat something nice with him for once. Akari protests she could have been invited too. Feeling lonely, Hikari tearfully thanks the man for always being there, causing a heartfelt moment. Tears well up in Hikari's eyes, and both Hikari and the man react with surprise. The man urges her not to stress over him, promising he's fine. Akari insists no more lies and demands to be invited next time. Hikari beams, relieved the crisis is averted, but the man recalls the false molestation charge with concern. The man calmly finishes his explanation, but the two women erupt in shock and anger. One demands why he buried the lead, while the other vehemently denies the molestation accusation, insisting it's impossible. The man pleads for calm as the younger woman defends him, declaring his long history of donations and good character. The man reassures them he even exchanged contact information with the accuser, but the women urge him to take revenge or stay away if the accuser is dangerous. He declines their advice politely, appreciating their concern. The scene widens to show the three sitting around the table, and the narration reflects on the strength of family bonds. The man swipes through his phone, a gentle smile on his face as he thinks about how people will believe in him without needing proof. Messages flood in, warning about the molester streamer, and linking to a channel called Molester Buster Memorakuin, signaling the spread of the scandal online. The younger woman, now alone, clenches her phone with determination, vowing to protect the man herself. She ignores the other woman's call to focus on her meal, steeling herself for the fight ahead as the tension builds. A determined voice vows to protect her uncle at dinner. A young girl begs Mia for help, promising anything in return, but fears what she might be asked to do. The uncle admits envy for youth and social media savvy, while the girl, munching on food, says she has nothing to show online but thinks he'd be popular if he tried. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with a work call. On the phone, the uncle answers a call from Sato, who asks if something urgent has come up. A stressed woman explains that Doom Productions' Kachidoki has requested his presence. The uncle learns Kachidoki wants to make amends for recent behavior and meet him, but the girl eating expresses unease and reluctance to go. The uncle discusses the situation with a woman in an office. Revealing the CEO's order to comply, he's told he must beg for the deal on his knees or face consequences. The woman warns it's power harassment, and the uncle sighs, asking if they have the right to refuse. The woman admits refusal means he'll be fired, but the company would likely go out of business first. The uncle reacts with frustration. Back at home, the girl asks if everything is okay. The uncle reads a message scheduling the meeting for Monday and promises to email details. His phone buzzes again, and a woman scolds him for being distracted and urges him to finish his meal. The uncle sighs, admitting that being popular at work only makes him depressed, while the girl happily agrees she's popular too before he quietly steps out for a moment. The girl fidgets nervously, wondering what the man is discussing on the phone. Another woman reassures her that he's a respectable grown man now, and urges her to trust him. Startling the girl, the man, holding his phone, hesitates before asking, "What is it, Shiradama-san?" A glistening burger and fries sit ready on the table. The woman, identified as adventurer Swearin Shiradama, apologizes for the trouble caused by someone in their company. She explains a rumor about a fight involving a salesperson from Adventure Book Co. and someone nicknamed Daki, which the man recognizes as Kachidoki's old adventure nickname. Swearin warns the man that Daki is dangerous and urges caution. Nearby, two other women, Amazuru and Rindo, quietly eat and react to the news, questioning what dangerous means. Swearin elaborates that Daki's rule is to start off on the wrong foot and then become friends by fighting one-on-one, likening him to a caveman. The man doubts such behavior happens nowadays, especially since Daki summons people he dislikes to the dungeon when things go wrong. The conversation shifts to rumors about Daki's connections with higher-ups at the company, explaining how he avoids getting fired despite his antics. The women sit together, pondering the situation and its implications. The man reads a message revealing that the night he got into trouble with Daki, he was falsely accused of groping someone, which he believes was Daki's doing. Swearin offers to talk to the higher-ups and collaborate on the project to help him. She thanks him but admits she can't ask him to go through all that trouble, warning it might be dangerous for him too. She notes it's unfair since he's already collaborated with Senasama, showing a subtle, concerned expression. He ignores the knock at the door, thinking he must settle this himself. He worries that if his company collapses, he'll be in serious trouble. He admits he's forgotten how to even fill out a resume. Feeling stuck, meanwhile, the woman pleads to explain that she works in sales and was summoned by Kachidoki, aka Daki, on Monday, likely to be dragged into a dungeon. She describes sales as matching old men with other old men. Selfish, trashy, cowardly, and occasionally kind, but mostly making unreasonable demands of each other, despite their age. None of them act like adults. The women listening react nervously, finding his words frightening. Salespeople, he bluntly states, are nothing but scum. Period. The man acknowledges that even scum have to do their jobs for the world to run smoothly. He offers reassurance that as long as it's within working hours, there's no need to worry. He still wants to recommend her and give her projects but asks her not to mention his name. He reflects that if he took credit for her actions and got promoted, he'd end up with more work and less pay in a meaningless management role. The woman asks if he knows Senna, and he admits they don't interact outside work but he'd love to hang out with her. He sighs at the darkness of modern society. He reveals he got one of Senna's staff's business cards and decided to ask him to call her on his behalf. The woman recognizes the man as Dan. He resolves to face the upcoming summons next Monday and settle things the old-fashioned way. Monday at Shinjuku Station, a man walks through the crowd, noting two suspicious figures nearby. One carrying a guitar case likely hiding a sword, the other holding a bag concealing a hammer. He realizes these two must be the ones ready to stop him if he tries to escape. Checking his watch, he acknowledges it's about 7 o'clock. He reflects on his day, appreciating his boss and Ukai's concern despite his unpredictable work schedule. Then, he senses the real threat is closing in. Suddenly, a bulky man behind him calls him a pervert. Startling him, the man pokes the guitar case, confirming the weapon inside, and orders him to shut up and come along. The man wonders if they're kidnapping him head-on like this. Surrounded by the two armed men and a third figure, the man is escorted down an alley under the watchful eye of a security camera. He winces as one of them hits him, urged to walk faster, despite the rough treatment. He reassures himself that everything is going according to plan. A narrow alley blocked by cones and a "keep out" sign rumbles ominously. Two men walk through a hidden passage, one tripping as they navigate the cramped space. The alley is suspected to be a secret entrance unknown to the guild, their usual route to avoid detection. Outside a karaoke building marking the Shinjuku dungeon level 15 to 20 zone, the man realizes his pursuers intend to kill him. He notices a group approaching down a hallway, his expression tightening with alarm. Inside a sparse room, a man waits patiently, signaling the start of a confrontation. The waiting man promises a collaboration in the form of a one-on-one showdown with Daki Kinya. Daki reacts with a mix of surprise and dismay, calling the challenge lame as the other man stomps the ground, emphasizing his seriousness. The challenger lashes out verbally, accusing Daki of buying followers from a dealer, causing a scandal by being exposed by former teammates, and retiring due to financial troubles after exploiting his leadership. Daki is struck hard in the face, the blow punctuating the harsh accusations as the challenger mocks him for being lame. The man reels from the blow, rolling on the ground in pain, realizing the strike was too light to provoke a real reaction. He wonders if he failed to provoke his attacker enough. Struggling to his knees, he feigns innocence, asking why he was attacked despite doing nothing. He urges the violence to stop, knowing that if the attacker talks about his motives, it will provide enough evidence. The challenger approaches, declaring he can't stand the man's attitude. He steps forward, acknowledging the man's surprising toughness despite his weak appearance. A bystander mocks the man for being beaten by a wimp, contrasting his earlier defiance. The challenger orders him to get up, pressing him to face the situation. The attacker lashes out violently, striking repeatedly while the man pleads for the assault to end. His glasses are knocked off in the chaos. The challenger grabs him by the collar, snarling that he's like a monster pretending to be human, disgusted by his presence. The man, battered but unafraid, reveals that his face shows he could kill at any moment, intimidating his opponent. The challenger acknowledges the man's awareness and mid-level streamer status. Impressed despite his earlier brutality, he summons a flaming sword, proposing a one-on-one duel and suggesting they become friends through combat. Flames swirl around the challenger's flaming sword as he glares fiercely, shouting that if the man refuses, he will kill him. The challenger's rage activates his main skill, causing the ground to crack and debris to fly. Water magic erupts violently as a powerful counterattack called Megaton Pump crashes down, splashing and breaking the ground. The attacker coughs in pain as the challenger stands firm, declaring he has recorded all the evidence of the kidnapping and assault. The attacker, drenched and coughing, realizes the water magic is from Allied Army mode, designed to prevent friendly fire in area spells. A woman with long hair and armor calls him Kinya-san. While another girl angrily warns that kidnapping and assault are serious crimes, they express disappointment in the attacker's actions. Daki calmly wipes his face, admitting the plan was set from the start. Swearin Shiradama and others confront the attacker, demanding what he's doing here. Daki warns that even in lawless dungeons, there are limits, and if this incident spreads, adventurer privileges won't protect him. The attacker pleads innocence, but Swearin steps forward, accusing him of lying. The man demands if the blunt girl from the train is here, questioning her presence. She calmly denies his claims, stating he made it all up. Then she reveals herself as Sena Meizono, also known as Spear Dancer Sena, holding her ID to prove she was the one publicized as a victim of sexual harassment. Shock erupts from the men as they realize the truth. One angrily questions Mamoru for targeting her, while another laments being scammed. Sena says she prefers to keep her private life low-key. Daki, wiping his face, admits he was stunned to discover Sena and the victim were the same person, calling it a twist of fate. A woman with a headband smiles, saying everything went smoothly and was helpful. Daki explains that adventurers possess an alternate appearance called an avatar, which cannot be too different from their real selves. He gestures toward the armored forms of Sena and the woman with the headband. The group, including Amazuru and Rindo, stand ready. Daki asks if the man is thinking something rude, but he denies it. The scene shifts to the broken surroundings as Daki declares it's time to get down to business. Suddenly, Daki roars fiercely, smashing the ground with his fist, causing shock among the men. One recognizes the muscular man in the suit as the infamous Shinjuku batter. Daki adjusts his glasses calmly, preparing for the confrontation ahead. The ruined dungeon entrance looms silent as the man in the suit exhales deeply, admitting how exhausting it is to keep his stomach pulled in. He confesses the truth. He's an old man, struggling to maintain his imposing figure. The question hangs in the air. Is that the real problem here? Nearby, the women agree wholeheartedly, with one suggesting Kei-san seems more like a con artist than herself. The man in the suit approaches the group, clenching his fist with a fiery aura, and demands confirmation that they want to settle this fight one-on-one. The tension escalates as the man with scars yells out in frustration, denying he said such things, while the muscular man calmly counters that settling things one-on-one is his opponent's way of becoming friends. The group of women confirms they heard the challenge clearly, pressing the man to admit his words. The scarred man is asked where his bat is, but he replies he doesn't have or need it. The muscular man adjusts his glasses, stating his bare hands are enough. A younger man mocks the older one for getting cocky in front of the girls and challenges him to a fight without weapons, while the older man accepts, ready to prove himself. The man in the suit confidently invites all four opponents to attack him at once. A fierce warrior activates his main skill, Lightning Sword B, warning them not to underestimate him. He unleashes a powerful sub-skill, striking with a devastating blow that sends his target crashing. The man demands less idle chatter and more action, questioning if his opponent is daft. The injured man twitches in pain, collapsing to the ground. The onlookers react in shock, asking if the strike was karate and urging Rinchan to explain. Kinya-san insists it's a whole different level. The muscular man calls out the next challenger, noting their strengths in speed and power. The challenger nervously prepares a weapon disguised as a wine bottle filled with water and cool air elements. The man explains it's effective against durable substances and warns that power and speed won't matter if frozen. The muscular man strikes again with a crushing punch, shattering the weapon and sending the challenger flying. He taunts them for being too slow and reminds everyone he told them to attack him all at once. The fallen challenger screams in pain as blood pours from his face. The injured man begs for help, insisting he was provoked by the muscular fighter. The man in glasses calmly explains that the injured has lost his will to fight and should be restrained. The muscular man, standing tall, is asked if he is some kind of karate master. He admits to only dabbling in karate because his sister was into it, calling himself an amateur. The woman with a headband and the star-themed warrior discuss his insane physical strength, comparing it to being knocked out by Superman in one blow. The star-themed warrior excitedly confirms he's the strongest, giving a thumbs up while teasing the muscular man about his smug expression. The muscular man suddenly moves, calling out, "Now what are you going to do?" as the opponent screams in rage, wielding a flaming sword. The opponent launches a fierce attack, shouting, "Weapon skill, flambe sword, burn to ashes." Flames swirl around his sword as the muscular man braces himself. The women watch anxiously, wondering if this really is Shinjuku batter, doubting anyone could withstand such an unarmed attack. The muscular man conjures a swirling flame in his hand, explaining that fire is heat, which cannot be touched. The crowd and opponent react with surprise as he prepares to counter, emphasizing the intangible nature of heat despite the visible flames. The muscular man explains that fire shaped like a blade can cut and thus be touched, but a formless flame is harder to grasp because one must reach its core. He demonstrates a technique called the circular block, which can even stop arrows, guns, and flamethrowers. The opponent, shocked, realizes his skill was stolen and stopped. The muscular man struggles to comprehend the technique's power, calling it beyond his understanding. He recalls a lesson from Sato-san about imagining drawing a line where you want the flame to go. He prepares to execute this by drawing a line with the swirling flame in his hand, while the two women watch in confusion. Launching into action, the muscular man unleashes a 110 miles per hour fastball, smashing through the challenge course's advanced level. A man watching comments that pulling off such a move is necessary given the situation. The opponent, caught off guard, is struck by a powerful dual-wielding attack, screaming in pain as the muscular man remains calm and focused, having executed his devastating counterattack. The three women exchange surprised glances, their expressions tense and alert. The muscular man notes calmly that the opponent's avatar has vanished completely. He smiles confidently, rallying everyone to move toward the location where the opponent is expected to respawn.